how the Philippines might be the next one, as its oil and gas industry keeps flourishing. So without further ado, let's begin. Is it true that oil and gas are found in the Philippines? The short answer is yes. Most likely, more than enough to meet the needs of the domestic market, with some left over to sell abroad. Minerals, farmland, timber, coastal areas, and marine life are just some of the things that Philippines has a lot of. It is thought that the country's wealth comes from its natural resources, which help the country's gross domestic product grow steadily. It has been shown that fossil fuel resources can be found in many different places across the country, both in terms of length and width. Most of the undiscovered hydrocarbon deposits are in the disputed Spratly group of islands, which means that the Philippines is sitting on a mountain of gold. This is more than enough to get the country out of poverty. Other possible deposits are thought to be in the northern province of Cagayan, the Ragay Gulf in Bicol, off the coast of Mindoro, the New Palawan Block, northern Cebu, and the Cotabato Basin. Some of the oil and gas is found in the disputed Spratly chain of islands, where active oil fields now supply the rest of the country. In 2018, the Department of Energy and a service contractor from China International Mining Petroleum Company Limited found an estimated 27.93 million barrels of oil on land in Alegria, Cebu. About 12% of this amount, or 3.35 million barrels of oil, was thought to be recoverable. Natural gas reserves in the area are thought to be worth 9.42 billion cubic feet, with up to 6.6 billion cubic feet of gas that can be used. About 70% of the total estimated gas reserves comes from this discovery. Even though the oil deposits have been there for a long time, no one has bothered to use them yet. It's too bad this happened, because the country's economy could have grown faster if it had been able to use these oil riches. If these reserves were finally used, the Philippines wouldn't have to pay so much for oil from other countries. In fact, the country would become an exporter of oil products and offer a way to stop the price of gasoline from going up every week without being stopped. Eldon G. Nemenzo, who is now retired, was a pilot and the former deputy commander of the 3rd Air Division of the Philippine Air Force in Zamboanga City. He did a lot of research for his thesis while he was still in the military, and taking an advanced course at the Command and Staff College of the PAF in Villamor Air Base, Pasay City. Nemenzo has now left the PAF after a long and successful time in the military. He said that the Philippines' large oil reserves are in different parts of the archipelago. Most of them can be found in the Reed Bank, which is the biggest of them all, and the Mischief Reef, which can be found in either the Spratly Islands or the Calayan Island group. It looks like a blind beggar is sitting on a pile of gold. The Philippines are like that. The country's exclusive economic zone goes out 200 miles and is thought to have hydrocarbon resources worth 26.3 quadrillion US dollars that can be recovered. Nemenzo said this is more than enough to pull the country out of the centuries-long swamp of poverty and underdevelopment. The country has a lot of oil that hasn't been used yet, which may have caught the attention of China and the US. In fact, China has been building a lot of infrastructure in the Spratlys, which are a disputed group of islands that are also claimed by Brunei, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. Nemenzo's research showed that the amount of hydrocarbon deposits in the Philippines could be more than $26.3 trillion. This is because oil reserves were recently found in the Sulu Celebes Sea, which is in the Philippines. Other sources, like a report from China's Ministry of Geology and Mineral Resources, back up the information that Nemenzo got. For example, the report says that the oil deposits in the Spratlys could add up to 17.1 billion barrels. This is more than Kuwait's oil reserves, which are thought to be 13 billion barrels. Kuwait is one of the world's biggest oil producers. Since oil was found under the sea in the 1970s, the Spratly Islands have become a major point of disagreement. The Philippines, along with China, Taiwan, Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam, has made a claim to the islands in the Spratly chain. Time to get up to date. In 1978, when Ferdinand E. Marcos was still president of the Philippines, he signed Presidential Decree 1596. This included several islands in the Chilean group to strengthen the country's claim to these mineral-rich islands. The ocean floor has a lot of minerals and polymetals, like gold, silver, iron, and nickel, in addition to oil and natural gas. During a trip to Chilean Island in 1979, with the defense minister at the time, Juan Ponce Enrile, this author saw the rich fishing grounds of the Spratlys. The Spratlys were called the Parcel Islands back then. During the interview, Numenzo stressed how important it was to modernize the armed forces of the Philippines, especially by buying multi-role fighters with cutting-edge technology to patrol and protect the country's airspace and sea lanes, which are more than twice as long as the U.S.'s. In addition, he said that Filipino technocrats would have to take the lead in managing the process of oil exploration in these areas, which is a joint effort between the Philippines and international companies. Numenzo said that we shouldn't be kept in the dark about how our resources are being used. The Department of Foreign Affairs says that Bajo de Masinloc is part of the Philippines and can't be separated from it. It is in the Zambales province of the Philippines. It is in the Masinloc municipality. Bajo de Masinloc is a group of reefs and rocks that are about 124 nautical miles from the closest coast of Luzon and about 472 nautical miles from the nearest coast of China. It is in the 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone and the 200 nautical mile continental shelf of the Philippines. In 1734, a Jesuit priest named Pedro Murillo Velarde published a map of the Philippines called Carta Hydrographical y Chorográfica de las Islas Filipinas. This map was thought to be one of the oldest and most accurate maps of the area. It showed that Bajo de Masinloc was part of the province of Zambales. The Alejandro Malaspina expedition made another map in 1792. It was published in 1808 in Madrid, Spain. On this map, Bajo de Masinloc was also shown to be part of the land that made up the Philippines. On this map, you can see how the Malaspina expedition got to the shoal and went around it. The 1939 Philippine census came with an atlas that had a copy of this map. Mapa General, Islas Filipinas, Observatorio de Manila was made by the United States Coast and Geodetic Survey in 1990. It was a general map of the Philippines. On this map of the Philippines, Bajo de Masinloc was also shown. Even though the armed forces of the Philippines recently bought new F-50 jets from South Korea and a number of new helicopters and other weapons as part of its modernization program, it is still a far cry from a year ago, when the military had squadrons of F-5, F-86, and F-8 supersonic fighter planes, and about 140 helicopters and a number of naval warships in its arsenal. It is hoped that the AFP modernization program from 1995, which was approved by Congress and signed by the president who was in office at the time, will be finished during President Rodrigo R. Duterte's time in office.